All right, so this is going to be a video about long division of polynomials. So you might be used to long division the old-fashioned way from like elementary school where you're using just straight numbers. This time we're going to be doing long division of polynomials. So you have this huge polynomial right here divided by this polynomial right here. So what I'm basically going to do is use the same rules that I used for long division in elementary school on this problem right here, and we should be able to simplify it a great deal. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is rewrite that first part right here. So it's going to be 15x to the third minus 32x squared plus 12x minus 2. And then you have that line here that looks like this. And it's going to be divided by 3x minus 1. So it's really kind of important to remember that this second part right here, this 3x minus 1 goes in front, and then this first part right here goes underneath the division sign. It's really important to be able to know to do that, because if you switch those around, you will not get the right answer. Okay, so order matters for division. That first part has to go underneath the division sign, that second part has to go in front. Okay, now from here what we're going to do is, just like long division in elementary school, you're basically just looking at that leading term each time. So that's what we're going to be doing for this polynomial. So we're always going to be looking at this 3x right here, and then we're going to be going through each individual term here, 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 and here in order to do the long division. So let's start with the first one, this 15x to the third. So you just want to think, how many times does 3x go into this 15x to the third? Okay, well the 3 and the 15, you should know that 5 times the 3 is going to get the 15, and then x squared times x is going to be x to the third. Okay, so basically this right here times this 3x is going to be equal to 15x to the third. So what I'm going to do then is write 15x to the third underneath this, because I'm going to multiply this 5x squared by this 3x. Okay, but I also have to multiply this 5x squared by this minus 1 right here. So it's also going to be minus 5x squared. Okay, the next important part is make sure you always put parentheses every single time you do that. So when you multiply this by this whole part right here, make sure you put that in parentheses because you're subtracting, okay? What's going to happen every single time, this term and this term should cancel out. If they do not cancel out, then you did not pick the right term up here, okay? These should always cancel out. Okay, next thing we're going to do is just simplify. So we have this 32x squared minus a negative 5x squared. So what I'm going to do is make this a plus and make this a plus, and now you should have negative 27x squared here. This 12x minus 2 is just going to drop down, so plus 12x minus 2. Okay, now you have to repeat that exact same process that we just did with that 15x cubed with this 27x squared. So now you have to think, how many times does this 3x, so we're still looking at this leading term, go into 27x squared? Hopefully you know that it's going to be negative 9x. Negative 9x times 3x is going to be negative 27x squared. Okay, negative 9x times negative 1 is going to be plus 9x. Okay, again, put it in parentheses, and then you're going to be subtracting this off. So this cancels here. Again, that will always happen. If those first two terms don't cancel, then you pick the wrong thing up here. Okay, now from here, what we're going to do is just keep doing the same operations that we were doing before. So 12x minus 9 is going to be 3x. So I'm going to write a 3x here. And then this negative 2 is just going to drop down like this. Okay, now I got to repeat the process again. How many times does 3x go into this 3x here? Well, hopefully you realize that it's just one time. Okay, so 1 times 3x is going to be 3x. And then 1 times negative 1 is going to be negative 1. So you have 3x minus 1 like so, and then we're subtracting. Again, those two terms are going to subtract. They should always do that again, unless you didn't pick the correct thing up here. All right, so we're going to simplify this a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is make this a plus and make this a plus here. So you have negative 2 plus 1, which is going to be equal to negative 1. Now we get to a little bit of a problem. We have this remainder negative 1. You can't multiply this 3x by anything unless it's a fraction to get this negative 1. So what we're going to do whenever this happens, when you can't just multiply something easily by this to get negative 1 unless it's a fraction, we are actually going to make that into a fraction. So what you're going to end up doing is just taking that negative 1 and putting that negative 1 up here, but you're making it a fraction with the 3x minus 1 like so, because this negative 1 over 3x minus 1, if you multiply this here, you're going to get negative 1. And then that negative 1 is going to cancel and you're left with 0. Okay, but the main idea, the main point of this whole thing is that now you basically found the answer right here of this top part. So it's going to be that 5x squared minus 9x plus 1 minus 1 over 3x minus 1. So basically that's how you find the answer of, so now you're dividing polynomials using long division, and you're basically finding that answer, that simplified answer, which is right here. It's basically, it just represents this top part. So that's long division. You're going to definitely want to practice these problems as much as humanly possible because they are very involved and you do kind of have to understand the pattern with them. So if you have any questions about anything in this video, let me know.